Ladies and gentlemen, we are back and welcome to the live experience of the Ango show. My name is Ango, and today I'm joined by, of course, our co-host Billy TKO.
Going on?
Not much, bro. Freaking crazy week. I know last week we were trying to go live, and well, I don't want to speak too much about things in the personal life, but it was a very good week for the family. So that prevented us. When unexpected things happen, it prevents you from doing things, and that's kind of what happened last week. But it was a very good week and very exciting week. And now today, we are back, and we should be back getting ready for WrestleMania season, and obviously, a lot of things happening. Across both WWE and AEW and all that good stuff. So it feels kind of weird, Billy. Low key, it kind of feels like, wow, what are we doing here?
I know, dude. It does. It feels a little funky. I'm like, oh man, I got to get back juvenated. I got to be back ready and ready to take on the YouTube world.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, there's obviously a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today, and there's a particular topic that I put on the title, which was John Cena ruined WrestleMania. And yeah. I think a lot of people are going to look at that promo that he dropped last week and think, oh, well, that's what it has to do with. But I actually think it has something to do with something else, which it could be a controversial topic, honestly, at this point. I'm kind of leaning two different ways with it, and we'll get to that. Plus, WWE and AEW competition is forcing some changes, which I find very interesting. So we're definitely going to talk about that too and some other stuff. Obviously, we had SmackDown this past week and AEW Collision, and relatively fun week for pro wrestling fans. But what I wanted to say, and more specifically, is that there was also a change on your side of things, something that you've been doing on your channel that's a little bit different, something that I don't do. So kind of let the world know what you're up to.
So, if you guys are not aware, if you guys are subscribed to me, I actually am now going live. So directly after this live stream at 4 p.m. when Raw goes live, I will be doing a watch along over on my channel. So I'll be sitting down. We've been having a really good time in the chat. I think last week we did Raw and NXT. This week we'll be doing Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. So we'll be covering all three. Obviously, WWE is leaving from overseas and coming back to the United States after today. So I will be live for all three of those shows with a potential of AEW and TNA. Not 100% sure yet, but either way, yes, guys. I was doing daily videos. I've kind of slowed down on those a little bit. I'm jumping into the live streaming world to do watch-alongs. I'll be posting clips on TikTok and stuff like that for you guys to just come get a glimpse of that. They'll also be on YouTube. And what I'll probably be doing is probably posting a video maybe once or twice a week. That way I'm staying in the loop and everything along those lines. But yeah, no, Raw watch along, NXT watch along, SmackDown watch along. If you guys aren't subscribed, Billy TKO, shout out to Ango for giving me the platform, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Of course. Yeah, man. And obviously watch alongs are something that I don't do. So I think this is kind of cool that you've been doing it. You've been testing it out a little bit, and it's been working for you, which is cool.
For sure.
Obviously today is the last Raw, by the way, for the European tour. So this is like the weird, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a weird time for WWE, because now after this, then we'll go back to normal where, Raw on Netflix is at 8 p.m. But obviously you have been paying attention to the, with the watch alongs, you've been paying attention to the shows in real time. What has your experience kind of been like watching it on camera? Because I think sometimes for me, I actually tend to enjoy watching wrestling without social media, without technology. What have you kind of noticed these last few times that you've done these watch alongs?
Well, I think the number one thing that I notice is how helpful people are, right? Because there could be things that you don't realize watching with the regular eye, right? You don't think about things kind of immediately. But when you have people sitting in a chat and they're sitting there with you and they're watching it along directly with you, they are making sure that you are understanding and seeing where everything is happening. I think last week there was kind of like instantly like a hint with Finn Balor and Dom Mysterio. And like, I didn't notice it, but the chat was so instantly there with it. So I think that's really cool, right? Because you really don't miss anything. You could try all day long, but you're not going to. You're going to understand everything across the board that is happening. So I think that's kind of been my most enjoyable part of doing these watch alongs. But also there's a really cool feel to it too, because you get to give your own commentary. You know what I mean? And offering your own commentary is a little bit different. But yeah, either way, dude, I've fallen in love with doing these watch alongs. I mean, I'm enjoying the heck out of them, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember, like, it's so funny because I remember doing watch alongs too, and it's hard because I tend to not enjoy the show so much when the camera is on. I tend to not enjoy the experience of even like being on Twitter and live tweeting. I've definitely toned that down throughout the years. But I do think that is a very interesting point where it's like sometimes you're watching something and it's not necessarily clicking to you like, oh, what that was. And then obviously somebody in the chat kind of helps you out, which is cool. I think that's a really cool benefit of your live streams. I actually encourage you guys, if you're not subscribed to Billy, check it out, because I don't do those, right? I don't do the watch alongs. And then if you're doing a watch along with Billy, you know, you guys could talk amongst yourselves. And I'll try to stop in too. You know, it's a very hectic.
Ango pops in every so often. So
yeah, it was funny because last time I was there and I saw Cedric was in there, and I just started like going off in the chat a little bit, and then it makes it fun though, for sure, 100%. It's just I do feel like to a certain extent it's just kind of weird, like watching WWE or anything really for that matter, like anything, and then social media. Sometimes it just really kills me. Honestly, like it really does kill me, and I don't know. My bad. I was just gonna say I don't know, like if that's like I don't know how to explain it. I don't know, like I don't know if that's something that has more to do with the fact that I love talking about wrestling, but while watching it, I feel like if I'm focused on too many things at once, then I do miss things that are happening on TV. If that makes sense.
Well, it's so funny, right? Because we sit here and we do these, but the truth of the matter is I'm not going to go like a deep dive into my history of YouTube. But truth be told, like I started as a reactor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I did live reactions to, music. So, I mean, it's just you're kind of transitioning from that into pro wrestling, and you're just taking that world and turning it into this one. It's essentially the same thing. And I loved reacting to music, and I love reacting to things when they're happening live.
Yeah. That's so crazy, bro. Honestly, dude, who knows? I mean, honestly, who genuinely knows like what's gonna happen? You know, especially with today's Raw, because they have they've confirmed a couple things for today's Raw, but it's so weird. I'm not sure. Let me ask you really quick, just overall, because I thought I would like it, and then it turns out with my schedule and the way that I work and the way I do things with like YouTube and stuff, I don't know if I like having wrestling like on the weekdays, because pay-per-views on a Saturday at like 2 p.m. is cool with me. But do you like the fact that Raw and SmackDown's been on at like 3 or 4 o'clock? Like,
look, no. Okay. So this has actually been like an ongoing topic that I've seen on Twitter, obviously, right? Where people are like really skeptical about how long it's been going on, stuff like that. I mean, here's the thing, kind of like you said, if on a Saturday you do it at 2 o'clock, I'm not mad at you. I don't hate it, right? In fact, I appreciate it. But again, here we are as American fans, kind of being selfish in our own right? Because we're so used to getting it at this time, and now we're like, oh man, well, we kind of need it at that time because it fits our schedule. You know, imagine them over there and what their schedule is like. You know what I mean? You know, some of them, like in the UK, for instance, they're staying up to like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning watching Raw because they want to watch it live. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Right now, we're just on their side of the fence. But if selfishly, I hate it. I hate it because I'm a day person and I like to get things done throughout the day.
yeah.
Right. So I prefer to watch it at night when I'm more relaxed. I'm ready to kind of wind down a little bit. And here we are. You know what I mean?
So crazy. We did get a super chat, which, by the way, guys, I am going to apologize for today's stream. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull up the super chats, just because I'm having some technical issues. And while Billy was talking, I was looking at them too, and I just noticed that they're kind of being weird. But we are going to read the super chats, and we are going to give our shout outs because we do have our super chat goal. But if we go back and I see that a couple shout outs, Cedric Gilmer, he has renewed his membership for 28 months. He says, cheers to another 28 months. Shout out to Cedric Gilmer. He's also the mod in the chat, so shout out to Ced. And Talino Channel dropping 100 rupees, kicking things off with the super chats. He says, waiting for Rikishi to give pipe bombs to Papa H. Main event Jay is headlining mid of a WrestleMania card. Liked Naomi's character work. So this is very interesting. Shout out to Talino Channel for the super chat. This is very interesting for a variety of reasons because there is this huge dialogue that's happening on social media regarding the main event slot, which we saw on SmackDown. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. It's finally happening. CM Punk is going on, he's going to main event WrestleMania, and that's obviously a very big deal. But now it's a lot of people are like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of the Royal Rumble and winning the Royal Rumble to main event WrestleMania. And then, of course, there's a lot of people who are like, well, Jay and Gunther don't even deserve to main event WrestleMania. The better storyline that's currently happening on television is the one between Bianca, Io, and Rhea. And so let me ask you, like, honestly, with your genuine this is what happens when you guys don't live stream for a week, bro.
Right.
But when you see this happen, you obviously saw the big announcement. I'm sure you're aware of like the dialogue back and forth. What is kind of your opinion on what we are currently seeing at this time with the main event slot for WrestleMania?
Well, look, people could say what they want, but that triple threat and Cody and John are the two biggest things. If you guys ever watched like a documentary, right, of Triple H and just him talking, I think it was during the Bray Wyatt. I want to say it was during that documentary. But Triple H had said, he was like, the main event of WrestleMania, it's gonna go to the best story and what people are most attracted to. And I think it's fair to say that we're all very attracted to the John Cena Cody Rhodes story. That's why it's happening on night 2. The Punk Rollins Roman match, we're all very invested in that. We know the history. We understand the history, right?
Yeah.
So we're invested in that. But when it comes down to the Jey Uso thing, I understand, kind of where people are angry with it. But Ango, me and you have talked about it on the show numerous times.
Yeah.
The one way you can go about and do this right, you have to understand that Jey is a very hot character, right? They love him. You have him win the world championship, and you have that kick off WrestleMania. And what is wrong with that? Honestly, tell me, are you going to be mad that the person who won the Royal Rumble, who is hotter than ever, kicked off the show to really set the show off and put it in a wonderful, wonderful place to move that show forward? Right?
Yeah.
And let's be real here. If you want to say Tiffany and Charlotte need to main event, They don't. They don't. You can do that, maybe as a co-main on night 2, right? What's wrong with that? Because I understand that people want to say like, oh yeah, because you won the Royal Rumble, you need to main event. If you guys watched anything that WWE has done recently, they have told you numerous times that is not how it works. You do get a somewhat main event slot, and you're going to be pushed very highly on the card. But WWE has told you that the best story is going to be the one that always main events.
Yeah. The thing that I hate about it, though, is the verbiage that they use. Because it's like, oh, you win the Royal Rumble and go on to main event. That's not necessarily true, and that hasn't been true all the time. So it is very strange that they have done that, and I just kind of want to point that out. Like, I think what they should say is, hey, you win Royal Rumble, you win a World Championship match. And then here's what's crazy, right? Is like, obviously tonight on Raw, we're going to see Bianca Belair be the special guest referee for Io versus Rhea, which obviously we know this is going to turn into a triple threat. But even as much as I am a fan of this match and how they're going to be doing things there, I do have to criticize the fact that, like, hey, Adam Pearce made a good point. Rhea Ripley does have a rematch clause, but she didn't win the Royal Rumble. So, like, to me, it almost feels like, okay, well, what are we doing here? To create this main event match, it's like, I don't know, like, to me, it just feels weird. It feels weird with how they've done things. Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble, okay, she's going to go up against Tiffany. It's not the main event. Okay, the Elimination Chamber match, you have Bianca Belair. I mean, then it should be Bianca Belair versus Io Sky or Rhea Ripley for the belt. Obviously, tonight, whatever's going to happen, unless WWE is really trying to swerve us and screw us and give us a singles match,
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, guys. There's only one main event slot, or two technically.
Yeah, because
There's
of
only
both nights.
right. There's only two main event slots, and
Yeah.
there you have to think about it like this: not everything is going to be more important than the next.
Yeah.
So again, you can say that, oh, if you kick off Mania, that's somewhat of a main event slot,
Yeah.
right? Because that's when the audience is going to be the hottest. That's
Yeah.
when they're going to be the most active. That's when they're going to feel that they're willing to stand on their feet,
Yeah.
right? They're not tired. They're not burnt out. None of that.
Yeah.
So, again, you could have Charlotte and Tiffany even kick off night 2. You have Jay and Gunther kick off night 1. Tiffany and Charlotte, they kick off night 2. And that's a still very, very important, spot to be in. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes down to Rhea, Bianca, and Io, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they never said that was going to main event. You guys just felt that it should main event. Some of you, not even all of you.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say too, Billy, that I think is a good point, and then there is another super chat and shout out that we have to get to. But one thing I was really going to say that I think is so important is that, like, I think wrestling fans, and I genuinely believe this with all of my heart, I think there is very few rare exceptions to when a match that's not for the world title should main event WrestleMania. And so when I see this match with the magnitude of Seth, Punk, and Roman, even without a stake, as of right now, there's no stakes. It doesn't mean they can't add a stake. But I genuinely believe, and I've said this before, like, that match is going to end the night, and whatever the favor is going to be revealed. Now, I have some very crazy theories and predictions. You know how I felt about the Seth Rollins thing. We talked about this. But I just feel like with WrestleMania Night 1, it's not as important to send the crowd home happy as it is with Night 2. So for WrestleMania 41, what I would be doing is kicking off the show with Jay and Gunther. If Jay wins the belt, you're starting off hot. And, sometimes people say that the match that goes on second is like the death slot. I would say, F that. Make that your women's triple threat match. Make that your high profile match. And your third match should be built up just to feel as important. And your fourth match and your fifth match. I think a lot of times people are like, well, the first match and the last match are the most important matches. Well, to me, it's like, how can we make those matches in the middle feel just as important? And that's something that doesn't get discussed.
I think that's what Triple H is trying to change. He's trying to change that deafening, like, feeling that we get after that first match.
Yeah.
Right. He's trying to tell you, like, hey, everything on this is going to be important, because you want to talk about you talk about Rhea, Io, and Bianca being the second match. You had the third match be like Penta, Braun Breaker, Dom, and Finn. Right. That has a lot of importance. Would we agree?
Yeah, for sure.
So why not have that be the third? And it's just about pacing. That's really all it comes down to, is pacing of the show. And if you can pace correctly, then you're in a really, really comfortable spot to make every single match feel important. Yeah. And I feel like that is where Triple H is trying to change the trajectory of what WWE has been, like, stigmatized to. It's like you had this lingering feeling like, hey, that second match was the death slot.
Yeah.
Right. But it doesn't always have to be that. Again, I was on TikTok Live with somebody who watched pro wrestling, and he's a friend of mine. And he was talking to me, and he was like, Triple H, I never realized it, because he would message me complaining about certain stories, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, he was like, yo, like, I didn't realize, but, like, you were right. Like, I needed to get back accustomed to long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
Right. And making things feel important once again. Because for a long time, you would just kind of get a story, get a payoff, it was done. You'd move on.
Yeah.
Right. And that is not the case anymore. So you just have to get back accustomed to that everything is now important.
Yes.
And nothing is considered a death slot.
Yeah, I agree. Great take. Yeah, 100%. That probably was a good conversation, because the long-term storytelling really does tell you a lot. But it's, a lot of people want to complain about filler. Well, it's not really filler. It's just you're choosing to call it filler because it's not the main event slot, or it's not the opening slot. Exactly. And it's different from the way that Triple H does WrestleMania to the way Vince McMahon does WrestleMania, because the philosophy for Vince McMahon, where I will give him credit, is WrestleMania always has to end the night on a positive note, and WrestleMania, you send the fans home happy. But Triple H's philosophy is a little bit different. It's, hey, the stories don't end at WrestleMania necessarily. So the stories don't end at a pay-per-view necessarily. The story continues or whatever. You might get some big moments, which again is the reason why I believe we're getting the favor at the end of night one WrestleMania. And whether that makes people happy or not, whether that's a heel turn, whether that's a babyface turn, whatever it may be, it is going to send the fans home with another chapter that is set to begin the following week. And that's what I think is so cool about Triple H's level of booking is like, if you look at Cody winning the belt, right? Like that was a huge moment and it did send the fans home happy, but that opened up a whole new chapter to an existing story. It wasn't like, okay, now the bloodline is dead and over. It's things are about to change and we're going into a new inning, which I think that philosophy is kind of cool because at least it guarantees you a massive, massive moment to end WrestleMania. So very good stuff there. I want to say shout out to Phil. He's renewed his membership for 9 months. He says, cheers, boys. Glad the show's back. Let's go. Thank you, Phil. And I have those technical issues fixed, so we should be able to have you on Wednesday as well, which I look forward to. And then Tolino Channel dropped 100 rupee super chat. He says, last year tag titles was like, we need to split it. This year tag titles are missing something. Last year's tag title scene was interesting due to R-Truth. No, I'm sorry, Tolino Channel. Like I'm very critical of tag team wrestling in WWE and in AEW, but the one thing I will say is WWE has managed to make the SmackDown tag division very, very entertaining, and they are starting to cook up some stuff on Raw as well. Does Raw have a prominent story? No, I think SmackDown clearly does. I think, we'll see if WWE brands the Raw before WrestleMania and the SmackDown before WrestleMania as WrestleMania Raw, WrestleMania SmackDown, because Triple H ain't going to load up the card like Vince and put 10 matches on there. That's not happening.
No.
But if I was...
matches, a lot of story.
5 or 6 matches at the most, maybe one more, but I would expect those Raw or SmackDowns before WrestleMania to be packed with some sort of championships, maybe the Raw Tag Team Championships, maybe the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. You never know, but there is going to be some stuff there. I think SmackDown's tag title scene has become very, very fun to watch. I think you got to do a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship match at WrestleMania for the SmackDown titles because they have a very prominent story. It's going to be a fantastic match. DIY, MCMG, Pretty Deadly, Street Profits. They got something cooking there. And actually,
amazing too, by the way, I have to say.
One thing that people aren't talking about too is Legado del Fantasma. It wasn't on SmackDown, but it was a digital exclusive. But Legado del Fantasma might be breaking off from Santos Escobar, and it looks like they could be joining Andrade. So there is something there that's happening where maybe it's like, okay, we have something really cool that can happen with Carrillo and Garza. And if they do that and go to Andrade, now you can build like an actual serious faction for Andrade. So, shout out to Tolino Channel. Guys, really quick, I want to point this out. If you check the pinned message in the chat, there is a direct link to donate to the channel. And I want to actually give a shout out to True Styles. True Styles dropped a $4.20 tip over the weekend. And basically the way that it works is this is exactly like super chats, but instead of YouTube taking money from it, and instead of me waiting basically like 30 or 60 days or whatever to get paid from super chats, the way that it works, if you guys want to directly help the show, if you go into this link, it's completely safe. There's, it's all backed and everything like that. You could choose the amount that you want. So there's like presets, and then you could click other. You can leave any amount that you want. You could send a message. It guarantees that I will read your message. So this is the tip jar. If you guys want to donate directly to the channel, this is actually the preferred method. We are probably going to start pushing it more often because it goes directly to the account. Like there's no waiting. There's way less fees. Like YouTube isn't taking a huge cut out of it. If you guys want to do that, that is the pinned message in the chat. And again, I just left the message with the link. So if you guys want to do that, please feel free to do that. You're not required to by any means, but of course, either way, your questions, your comments get read on the stream. And it's just a little bit of a nicer way to support the show. And shout out to True Styles, because True Styles actually did it over the weekend without us being live. And he dropped 420 on there. So shout out to True Styles. If you're watching, bro, thank you. And if you're not watching and you end up watching this on demand or something like that, just know that it was something that didn't go unnoticed. So thank you very much for that, brother. Speaking of super chat, Salino Channel dropped another one. He says 100 rupees. Santos, Andrade, Hayes, Gable, Cross start their new story after WrestleMania. Don't fumble Triple H. Also, don't want 300 title reigns. 300 plus title reigns. Remember 2K13. Cena, Bryan, Randy Orton. Yeah, I mean, listen. Well, one, I think I've made it pretty clear on the channel. I do not like long-term title reigns. I think sometimes they could be a little too much. Like even Gunther. Like I love Gunther, but we don't need you to hold the World Heavyweight Championship forever.
Yeah.
You know, Chelsea Green's holding the U.S. Championship, and I love what they're doing. And now she's got the secret Hervis. It's
The Hervis.
Yeah, instead of the Secret Service, it's the Secret Hervis. I like it, but I don't need title reigns to last forever, bro. I'm probably not the most popular. That's probably not the most popular opinion, but I think it's okay to have people. I think it's okay to have people drop the titles from time to time, as long as you just do it logically. You know, if you build a good story, a couple months here and there, and like, hey, there's a legitimate reason as to why they lost.
Look at the Intercontinental Championship. I think that's like a perfect example of something that, you know, they've kind of done very well when it comes to maneuvering the championship around.
Yeah.
Right. It's made sense in every department. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of that.
They did a great job with Jay getting it off of Braun, and then, you know, things like that. Yep. So 100%. As far as Santos, Andrade, Hayes, Gable, and all those guys starting their new stories, I mean, yeah, like this is where this is where it needs to matter, right? Raw after WrestleMania. You know, I feel like the last few years, Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania were kind of like, whatever. But now it's time to really kick things up a notch, and we'll see what happens too, because it's not being talked about, but the Wyatt Six have not.
I wonder if they come back from the European tour. I mean, it's going to be interesting how their stories play out. If they're going to wait, because obviously we know that Aleister Black, if you guys have paid attention to SmackDown, you know, he'll be April 25th. So he'll be the SmackDown following WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you know, are they going to wait to bring the Wyatt Six maybe till then? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of questions roaming around the Wyatt Six.
Yeah, and then not only that, but Rey Fenix shows up this upcoming Friday in Chicago. So they've already revealed that. So it's like, it's kind of weird because Rey Fenix is coming in before WrestleMania. Okay, well, do they put him on WrestleMania? Or, you know, like what's the purpose of this? Aleister Black obviously coming in SmackDown after WrestleMania. Okay, cool. It's going to be really interesting to see how they maneuver around this, because this is kind of like a weird strategy to do it right before WrestleMania.
But it is, because it does make you question, like, are they just going to slap him directly into the United States picture? If they do, I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, it just depends what they haven't really given me an indication that the U.S. title picture is going to be a multi-man match, especially now Jacob Fatu has really set his eyes on the prize. So that will be something interesting that I'm curious about.
But it also is something like, you know, not everybody is going to make the WrestleMania card. So it's like you can do it technically. Like you can bring on a guy like Rey Fenix and just have him go put on great matches, you know, with Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, whoever, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't necessarily need to have like a full direction, especially because by that time, you know, we'll be 20 days, so 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. He doesn't necessarily have to have a full direction. Look at what they did with Penta. You know what I mean? Penta had he just kind of floated for a couple weeks.
But let me ask you a question though. Do you think that helps the argument for the criticism that SmackDown is then filled with all filler content for 3 hours? Like if Rey Fenix is going out there just having random matches and nothing that really builds, like.
Yes, it does, because I have seen the argument that people are very upset with SmackDown and the way that it's been positioned, quite honestly. And I know it sucks, but like, yeah, that does help the argument. You know what I mean? People will continue to argue and be like, yeah, it's just filler, et cetera, et cetera. When technically, you know, if you look at, if anybody's paid attention to SmackDown, there are some important things, but you can obviously tell where their main focus is. But yeah, man, I guess you're right in that sense, because that argument has been so hectic recently, and I've just seen the discourse online and just people arguing that it's too long. And I would actually agree with them that the show is a little bit too long. The 3 hour SmackDowns, I almost preferred the 3 hour Raws over the 3 hour SmackDowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the 3 hour SmackDowns to me have just kind of been a little. It's not bad, like on a Friday night if you got nothing to do, 8 hours, and you're like, oh, I'm watching 3 hour episode, like whatever. But I
Mhm.
feel like it's that third hour definitely pulls away from the excitement. You know, the crowd, the stuff that's happening on the show is logical and stuff, and the crowd's been good with the international tour. But then when you get away from the international tour and then you go back to a crowd in America that's just playing lazy, like
Mhm.
I don't know if that energy will keep people up and stuff. So I mean, we'll see. I think I talked about it the other day on the channel internally. WWE, there's a lot of frustration with it being 3 hours. So I do hope that they eventually change it. But
For sure.
that is something that will have to change at some point because I don't think they will because the advertising revenue that comes in from the third hour. But I think if you're going to keep it at 3 hours, then you can't be just doing random matches with Ray Phoenix. You can't be just doing random things with some of these
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
Aleister
Exactly.
Black and all these guys got to come into the mix where
Now, do we think that they could, a guy like Ray Phoenix and a guy like Aleister Black, do we think that they could? Because here's the thing, obviously they're not going to change like the atmosphere fully of the show, but do we think that they can add substance back to that show?
yes, but the issue isn't that the show lacks substance, Billy. The issue comes from the fact that it's an extra hour, and so here's the thing: you add an extra hour, but now you have more commercials, right? Now you have
Right.
more promo segments and stuff. And
Yeah.
so the thing is with Triple H, this is not a criticism to WWE as I'm like, oh, it's so bad because again, the content that's actually happening is fine, but I think when you add that third hour, you really have to have something explosive on your show. And
Yeah.
so Cody is explosive. Seth Rollins, Punk, and Roman is explosive. But what are you going to do on SmackDown when those stories don't carry over forever? You know, like Seth and Punk are Raw superstars. You can't, there is a brand split. You have to remember that. So I think to me, it's like you have to start having some really big storylines that are just as impactful as your main event storylines, but they have to
Sure.
exist on the undercard. And I think that's a really difficult task when you're already doing that on Raw. How do you
Mhm.
replicate that for SmackDown? You want to put your best foot forward, but then I think there is a little bit of creative fatigue. I think there is some of those things where, like, you know, you got to have a better plan for it, I guess. And I don't know if WWE is equipped to do that right now because it is very clear that Raw is the A show. Like Raw is the show, and they try to balance it out. And there's
Mhm.
things that they do on SmackDown that's better than Raw. For example, the tag team division is a perfect example. But like if you look at the Intercontinental Championship picture on Raw versus SmackDown with the US title, it's just a night and day difference. Even
For sure.
and by the way, that will probably change once Jacob Fatu wins the belt. But that's my point is like I can't talk about ifs, maybes, wins. They possibly, you know, do these things. It's got to be just freaking do it, and then in real time, kind of decipher what's going on. I do have another super chat from Cornell Bryant for $9.99. He says Vince mix it up. Also, WrestleMania 2000 Triple H as a heel won. WrestleMania 30 with the streak. 31 heel Seth cashed in. WrestleMania 39 Roman beat Cody. These moments didn't send the fans home happy. Jeez, tongue twister. Cornell is right. Obviously, you know, the thing with Seth Rollins cashing though was something that was very, very, very important to that WrestleMania because I think if you look at it from Brock and Roman, like I think people did not want that as the main event. I mean, I remember just in real time covering pro wrestling and just realizing like, oh my God, why are we doing this? You know, and with Seth coming in, cashing in, it was a very, very, very beautiful moment, even though he was a
For sure.
heel. But that's what a heel would do, right? Like a heel
Yeah.
doesn't, you know, at WrestleMania 39, Roman beat Cody. But the beautiful part of that was everybody understood the vision. Well, I can't say everybody because I got a lot of flack for saying Cody should lose, but I think many people who are like me understood the vision was long term a story. And WrestleMania 39 really wasn't Vince. It had Vince isms, but it was Triple H and Vince kind of, I don't know, it was hard to explain. That was like the whole
Yeah, with WrestleMania 39, it was
WrestleMania
just
39 was so crazy because night 1 was so perfect and
and then
night
night 2 just turned into a disaster. And do you remember that Raw after?
oh
My
my
goodness.
God, bro. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that. And that was one of those things where I just remember being like, I remember telling you, Billy, I'm like, so this is the weird thing. Like, you could tell Triple H was on fire. You could tell night
Sure.
1 was like the thing, right? And then night 2,
Yeah.
it wasn't that night 2 was terrible. It was just like the opposite
You
of
could
night
tell that
1.
there were flaws in the blueprint, right? Like everything was like adding up, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it somewhat made sense. But then like when you broke it all down, and then when you go into the Raw the next night, then you're like, oh yeah,
Okay.
it clicked. Like, I know what's
Something.
going on.
Yeah, it was
Right.
very clear something had gone wrong. And
Right.
holy shit, just to sit back and remember at that time in real time, I was like, man, what the hell are they doing? Like, this is so weird. Like, what happened here? Like, that was, and I don't know. I keep seeing these comments like, oh, Vince needs to come back. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, I think anybody who wants to sit here and compare, I don't give a shit about AEW or WWE for 1 second. Let's not talk about what WWE and AEW are doing at the moment. But if you go back and look at Vince and what he was doing as a booker in his late years as a booker, I think you can argue for like the last 5 to 7, 8 years, Vince McMahon completely lost his touch. And it's so funny because Vince did have good moments, but Vince was not a storyteller. And I'm telling you guys this as somebody who often criticizes Tony Khan, and like I have my criticisms for AEW. AEW has never ever been as bad as Vince was in 2019. There is no, I don't like even when I criticize AEW and I think some of this shit sucks, it was still not as bad as WWE 2019 under Vince McMahon. And so the thing is, when people are like, oh, WWE, Triple H and Tony Khan creative fatigue and they're just not developing great story. No, man, you guys don't know. Like, please, I'm telling you, go back and watch Vince McMahon's booking. And there was times, even when WWE, Vince McMahon had like the celebrity guest host era of WWE. Shit, bro. It was shit. It was like there was a lot of times
all the guest hosts.
Yeah, like there was just things that Vince McMahon was not good with. And I'm sorry to say this, but I genuinely believe this with all my heart. Like, we are not even close to how garbage that shit was. We are not close to how garbage Vince McMahon was as a booker. Vince McMahon was very smart when it came to, we're going to create that moment. Seth Rollins cashing in WrestleMania. Phenomenal thinking. Phenomenal. Very, very smart to close WrestleMania 31. Vince McMahon having Brock Lesnar end the streak for Undertaker. Like, those are things where Vince McMahon will get his credit as a booker because some people didn't understand it, some people didn't like it, but those were the most impactful moments for WWE at a very interesting time period. So the thing is, though, Vince McMahon is so different from where Triple H is. Triple H is, hey, we're going to develop this story, and it's going to be long, and sometimes the story, it's not going to get boring, but it's just going to be kind of like you have to be patient, right?
And yeah, you have to understand that payoff is okay if you just wait a little bit.
Yes. And that's why for me personally, I see this as like, I'm not even sweating what WrestleMania is this year. And we do have a couple super chats, but as I said, John Cena ruined WrestleMania. I'm going to talk about that because there is something that's on my mind, and then it's going to make me think a little bit differently about Triple H. And I don't want to jump the gun, but I do want to definitely talk about it because I feel like in the past week, since we haven't been live, I've kind of been holding it in, and there are some concerns that I have. And then we're getting to Raw tonight, and it's like the perfect way to talk about what to expect from Raw tonight.
For sure.
So yeah, shout out to Cornell Bryant for the $9.99. Phil dropping a $4.99. He says, I need both your takes on the women's mid-card titles. Lyra's got something with Bayley, and Chelsea has the Hervis. They need something solid to hold on to. I have a very quick response, and then Billy, I'll let you go off because for me personally, I think it's very easy to discuss this. But I think when it comes to the women's mid-card titles, I think a lot of people try to paint this picture that it's absolutely terrible and stuff like that. I don't think so. I think Lyra Valkyria has been a great women's intercontinental champion. The stuff with her and Ivy Nile was great. Now they're kind of planting some seeds and some weird things with her and Bayley, which is really cool. Because, you know, obviously Bayley's a very credible athlete. She's a very talented athlete. She's a great performer. She's a very popular performer. Something tells me that maybe they've planted that seed for a heel turn for Bayley. Regarding the women's United States title picture, I'm happy with it. I feel like Alba Fire, like I love her so much and I want to see her break out at one point and get singles gold. I think the way to do that is the Secret Service gimmick. And it's so funny because I know me and Billy kind of talked about this before and I was like, man, like Imagine if Alba Fire was the Secret Service lady that turned on the president. And it's like a really crazy storyline that some people would probably be like, no, WWE wouldn't do it. But I think WWE would do it. And when you want to make Alba Fire a breakout singles person, you have her turn on the president of the Women's United States Championship. So
absolutely, fully agreed.
So there are things that are happening between both titles. Are they as popular or as like big or like groundbreaking as the other stuff? No, but that's not what we need. We just need stories that are happening, and they do have them. So I do think a lot of times people try to say, oh, they don't have stories. No, it's just because your favorite wrestler isn't holding the belt. But at the end of the day, like Lyra Valkyria and Chelsea Green are two different kinds of champions, and both of them do a good job of the role. Lyra Valkyria is that babyface that's willing to defend her title all the time. Chelsea Green is literally a Karen. And now she's the women's championship, and she's taken on the whole thing of, well, now I'm the president of the United States type shit. So right. There is layers to it. It doesn't need to be as major. I mean, listen, I would argue that right now the women's U.S. title picture and the women's intercontinental title picture is better than the men's United States championship picture. So,
would you argue that?
What was that?
I said, would you argue that?
Yeah, 100%. I think LA Knight is not. I'm not fond of LA Knight being United States champion. Okay. I think Jacob Fatu needs that belt, and I think they need to bring some big stories for Jacob Fatu once he wins the belt. But no, I think the men's United States Championship picture is completely opposite of the Intercontinental Championship picture. There is bangers after bangers after bangers happening for the IC title, and we're not seeing that for the US title. And on the opposing side of that, it's not entertaining. It's not like LA Knight, and I love him, and I think he's a great talent, but at some point it's like, okay, bro, like we need something different from you. This whole LA Knight, yeah, like, bro, I love you. I think you're great. You're an awesome talent. But I feel like I'm seeing the same thing since Money in the Bank last year. Like, I don't know.
It's been the constant. It's just been continuous.
Yeah, it's just a little continuous and like a little too much. And so the thing is, okay, cool, we got the belt off Shinsuke, but right now I'm not excited about the US title picture based on who's holding the belt. I'm excited about the person who's going to take the belt.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's not good. That's not good, bro.
It's not. And when you kind of, again, that's kind of going back to just, WWE has to be criticized in some of these regards. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of those places where it's like, again, waiting on Jacob Fatu to win potentially to win the championship. That makes that championship run feel lackluster kind of immediately, and I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, definitely feels that way, and to fill super chat, I mean, you could kind of tell me what you think about the women's mid-card titles, but the one thing I'll say is I at least appreciate that they revealed them. They're on TV,
right?
And there's like stuff that they're doing with it.
Yeah, so like to give my answer on that, just the fact that they're like you said a moment ago, the fact that they're even on TV, and just the fact that there is some story with them, obviously they need to grow. I've voiced my criticism about the Women's United States Championship and immediately had an answer right away. Lyra and Bayley is really cool because obviously, Bayley getting that, that shine she deserves, and same with Lyra getting that kind of rub from a quote unquote what we look at as a legend, or are going to look at as a legend. It does help. It does help big time. So that's my thought process. Ango, real fast.
Yeah.
I hate the bug. My camera I'm gonna jump off camera for a second.
You're good, buddy. Yeah, Billy, go ahead and do that. Shout out to Phil for the super chat. Appreciate that. I'm gonna check the tipping page, see if anybody dropped a tip on there, because I don't want to skip anybody. No, we did not. So just keep in mind, guys, we do have that tip link. I'm not going to spam you guys with all the benefits, but it is preferred if you'd like to support the show. Tolino Channel dropped 100 rupee super chat. He says, instead of a one-off program with Cena, R-Truth needs to be utilized more like helping Cena retain title by costing someone, Cena using him for his gain. It's really interesting because I want to see that interaction between John Cena and R-Truth, and we haven't got that yet. And I guess maybe this is a good segue into the topic that I want to speak about today that I've been kind of holding in with John Cena ruining WrestleMania. And I understand that some people will disagree with me. You guys can let me in the chat know. This is all for the intent of having that dialogue. But I think WWE may have missed the mark with this John Cena heel turn. And I'm really hoping that WWE figures this out because, quite frankly, you're good? Okay, cool. We'll put Billy back on the screen.
Hey,
so sweet. Yep, Billy, you're here. I see you. Yeah, so I feel like the whole John Cena thing is like, I'm feeling a little underwhelmed with it. And it's not because John Cena didn't dress up as a cool heel. It's not because John Cena didn't get cool new music and John Cena came out with NWO shit. It's none of that. I feel like John Cena turned heel and he has limited dates. And the thing is, John Cena has not talked about the Rock situation, why he sold his soul to the Rock. We haven't seen, we see John Cena walking away. I don't know if WWE, and again, I could be jumping the gun here. I could be completely wrong. We still have time until WrestleMania. But this is John Cena's last TV appearance until WrestleMania.
Is it?
It's his last Raw, and I believe he doesn't have any SmackDowns. At least advertised for. Yeah. So it's kind of making me think like, holy shit, John Cena could very well ruin WrestleMania. You know, and the weird thing is, like, some people are saying, well, John Cena turned heel, and that was just because that was the secondary plan because Cody didn't turn heel with The Rock. And to me, I don't know what I believe anymore. Like, I genuinely don't know. It is the most confusing thing watching John Cena cut a promo, and there's no connection to The Rock. We haven't seen The Rock. And then this makes me believe, okay, WWE may have carefully planned this storyline for a while, but then part of me also goes, no, Angle, you're fucking stupid, bro. Look, The Rock hasn't even shown up yet. The Rock was there at Toronto to give us that big moment, but it kind of tore away from the story. And I'm starting to lean both ways where I'm like, okay, maybe they didn't carefully plan this. And I'm saying that because as of right now, if we don't get John Cena on any more TV, if we don't see John Cena and Cody Rhodes get physical and pull apart brawl, if we don't see John Cena beat the hell out of Cody the same way Rock did to Cody to end Raw last year, like, I'm telling you guys right now, I will truly be under the belief that John Cena was never meant to turn heel and WWE had no idea what they were doing. And then that's going to make me believe that John Cena actually ruined WrestleMania. Because here's the thing. There's no way you deliver that big moment with Travis Scott, The Rock, and John Cena, and you're doing all these teases all these months and then not connecting the dots at some point. And again, I might be prematurely talking shit about this, but at the same time too, how do we sit here and like, this is what really bothers me. How do we sit here and get excited for WrestleMania when the key selling point was John Cena selling his soul to The Rock? And then there's no connection to that story after.
You know, Ango, I actually, I've been discussing this for a really long time. And I think, I can pinpoint the exact moment where WWE dropped the ball because I understand your frustration. I talked about it. I had a video kind of go a little viral. I said, John Cena, what was supposed to happen is Cody Rhodes was supposed to be angry. But instead, what we got was the same Cody Rhodes that we've continuously got. He comes out in a suit. What do you want to talk about? Like, no, brother, you just got your ass beat. Sorry for cussing, but you did. You just got your ass beat, and you need to be angry. So I feel like that was the moment that WWE kind of dropped the ball. I get it. Cody wants to be upset. He wants to be sad. He wants to be all of these different emotions. None of that was supposed to matter. And you were supposed to click out of that after everything happened. And the fact that John Cena, like you said a moment ago, is just walking away from what would it be? 3 weeks of television just to trust Cody to build the story. I mean, there has to be some kind of follow-up that comes from, whatever's about to take place here because, dude, this is your main event. You can't just walk away from that. You know what I'm saying? And you can't just have one person doing it. When John Cena did it a couple years ago with Austin Theory, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And was off TV. That was fine then because the match, it was a United States Championship match. It didn't have a lot of caliber. Doing it for your main event is absolutely insane.
So what's crazy to me, and I agree to a certain extent, but I think one of the things that's like really weird about the John Cena situation too is The way I could see it playing out is, okay, well, if John Cena's not on Raw or SmackDown anymore till WrestleMania, oh, The Rock shows up at WrestleMania, helps John Cena win, and another person joins their group, right? Like,
Yeah.
if that's the case, if that's the situation that we see unfold, cool, you delivered the moment, but now you fucked up the storytelling. And
Exactly.
that's not something I would expect from Triple H, who has been very, very good about long-term storytelling. And I don't know what it is, but like, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I love Cody Rhodes to death. I really, really love Cody Rhodes. But if you're going to have Cody Rhodes beat John Cena at WrestleMania, night 2 in the main event slot, I don't really foresee that being something I'm excited about.
I see. This is where we've been far off.
I know, because you keep saying that Cody needs to win, and I'm saying Cody needs to lose. But the thing is, I don't see myself being happy with that result. And maybe things could change. Listen, I'm not dumb. I'm not naive. I understand that maybe my opinion could change on this as time goes on and we get more and more TV. I mean, at this time, we still have a couple of weeks till WrestleMania. But my point that I'm trying to make is that I genuinely feel that Cody Rhodes should be in a situation where he is genuinely like threatened. And the only feud that I've seen Cody actually threatened in, where it's like, damn, maybe they should take the belt off of him, was Kevin Owens. And then they moved on from Kevin Owens from Cody to Randy Orton. And then it was funny because on SmackDown, you got Randy Orton confronting Cody. And it's like, okay, I understand that's a massive feud. I've been calling for that feud. It's very clear they planted that seed a long time ago. I understand that there's something there, plus legacy, history, and there's so much there. And Randy Orton cuts that promo and he's like, basically saying, like, I'm not going to stab you in the back. Like, I'm going to kick you in, like, in the front or whatever. Like, he did that. But to me, it's like, if based on how I feel right now, genuinely speaking, if Cody beats John Cena at WrestleMania and we don't get a big moment, right? This heel turn really didn't do anything for John Cena. Not only am I going to be disappointed in the heel turn being underwhelming, but then I'm going to think, why didn't we just have Randy Orton turn heel and RKO Cody out of nowhere? You know, why didn't he go after Cody instead of Kevin Owens? Like, why did they build that up on like that story because Randy versus Cody would be a massive storyline for WrestleMania. And to me, it's just like, that's the thing where I'm kind of struggling right now. It's like, again, I understand it's premature. There's still more time until WrestleMania, but at this point in time, it just feels like there's something wrong here. There is something wrong. And because it's not feeling that big for me anymore, it's like, I don't want Cody to win. It's making me Cody not want to win at all now, because it's like, oh, well, that was dumb.
See, now, this is the difference between like the hardcore fan and like your regular everyday fan, because when you're really like locked in and paying attention, like, yeah, somebody, is going to think like that. But for the casual viewer, they're just probably going to want Cody to win. And where we've been far off here is that you see John Cena winning, because it does. Logically, it makes sense. And I've been a sayer of that. Like, yes, John Cena, if he goes out and wins, logically, that makes a lot of sense. It makes the heel turn feel a little bit better. But my take and my view on this is that John Cena needs to have a realization moment, right? So you do that heel turn. My thought process has always been that John Cena is eventually going to have to get back to himself. Now, how do you do that? How do you go about getting John Cena back to himself? How does he create himself once again? How does he become that guy that everybody loved? Well, he needs to have this falling out with the fans, right? And I know during the summertime, we're kind of locked in for a lot of dates with him. So you have him come back, and you might take some time off, a little bit, and then come back in the midsummer or whatever. And then you let him continuously try to chase down that championship. And while he's chasing down that championship, eventually he's going to find himself again, right? It's like the ultimate story of like, man turns bad because, he's over everything, and then realizes like, maybe it wasn't their fault, and the whole time, maybe it was me, and I just needed to find it within myself to go back and do it. And I actually need them to support me and to lift me back up. I mean, John Cena said it. If you go back to the Royal Rumble press conference, he said numerous times, he was like, I've been chasing this down. I'm deserved this. I'm owed this. And now finally he feels that way and he's letting out that frustration. So now he needs to get back. So I ultimately think if you really want John Cena's 17th championship to be amazing and great, we talk about long-term storytelling quite often here. And we just talked a moment ago about how WrestleMania isn't the only place where things, have to coincide with one another. You can continue the story past that. This is one of those underlining factors. Look back at Cody Rhodes. Do you remember how angry we were when Cody Rhodes lost at WrestleMania 39, but ultimately won at WrestleMania 40? How amazing would it be in the story arc of John Cena for him to lose at WrestleMania to ultimately win it down the line when he's finally resurfaced back to who he was? So
I don't like that for the simple fact that then John Cena's heel turn then became pointless. That's the problem, Billy. And I understand where you're coming from.
Okay, I'll let
you saw the vision when Cody lost at WrestleMania 39. I had been pointing it out long before Cody went to WrestleMania 39. Long before that, I was pointing it out. I said for months and months and months, I'm like, guys, Cody should not win at WrestleMania. Cody's going to go to WrestleMania. He should not win. He should lose. He needs to face adversity. He needs to do this. I was very, very, very early on with this storytelling. I'm like, this needs to be a 2-year-long storyline, right? Yeah. Now, the thing is, John Cena's time is limited. So unless John Cena's a piece of shit liar and he's not actually retiring this year, then then the heel turn is underwhelming. For what, a month and a half, you turned heel? Oh, okay, after WrestleMania, you remain heel, but then eventually turn into a babyface, and then all of a sudden we're supposed to celebrate? No, brother, you go in all in with the heel turn. I'm going to give credit to Tony Khan here. What he did with Hangman Page and Swerve became a blood feud. That became a feud that both guys, even when you look at a traditional babyface, there was no traditional babyface in that feud. And then you got Cody Rhodes coming out in a suit. As you said earlier, he should have been really pissed off, right? Yeah. So the thing is, we haven't seen that side of Cody though. And so today on Raw, they can give us the most incredible thing. John Cena could beat his ass. Will that make me a little bit more excited? Yes, but I'm telling you right now, if John Cena does not walk out as champion, number 17 at WrestleMania, and Cody retains, then I'm going to say it was all done for no reason. You have to deliver the big moment. And I just want to point this out here too. Phil dropped a $9.99 super chat. I did get it to work, guys, on the stream. So now it is on the screen. But he says Rock shows up whenever he wants to further his story. John Cena's last Raw is today. If Cena wins and he leaves WWE, a la CM Punk Money in the Bank 2011, will someone draw him back to WWE? I get y'all's frustration. So this is a very good point because it takes me to my next point. Whereas this is John Cena's last Raw, right? So not only is it his last Raw, but let's say Cena wins and leaves the WWE. Now you actually have John Cena being forced by Triple H to come back and defend the belt. And that's where you can have John Cena actually extend his retirement tour. But the thing is, I don't see none of that happening because WWE is profiting off the merchandise. Imagine John Cena's whole thing is, this is my farewell tour. And then, by the way, we lied to you. Yeah, right. So that's where it becomes very difficult. They need something massive here. There is no connection to The Rock and John Cena since the heel turn. And so therefore, we can talk about Cody winning all day. But the purpose of this storyline was to further John Cena's heel turn. That's the reason why they did it. But now I am truly under the belief that WWE has had this planned. I do believe that they've had it planned, but I don't think they've had everything carefully, meticulously.
You don't think they had it mapped out.
I don't think they had it mapped out because of The Rock. I think The Rock plays a major, major role. I think they knew, hey, The Rock will be there in Toronto. The Rock will be there in WrestleMania. And keep in mind, Triple H has promised us more swerves, and he says nobody's going to see it coming. But
today might be one of those things. You have to understand, this is their last day over in the European tour. We obviously now know that this is John Cena's final Raw until WrestleMania. Something big has to happen here. I don't think Triple H is naive to that.
But it's not just that, bro. We still have more time until WrestleMania. You're telling me The Rock and John Cena can't figure it out to be there?
Yeah, and I do hate that. I fully agree with you.
If John Cena is not there until WrestleMania, if this is the last time, doesn't matter what John Cena does. It does not matter what John Cena does today.
I have to say this. Somebody in my chat, OG Stacks, he said that's the point, for Cena to ruin your WWE experience.
That's fine. I'm happy with that. But You don't do it without showing up. You ruin it.
John Cena has said that numerous times.
No. You do it at WrestleMania. You win at WrestleMania, and then you don't show up. You show up when you feel like it. John Cena wins the belt. We know he's here for the rest of the year.
As the chase, yes, he should be showing up because it should be the one thing that he's in need of. That I can agree with.
Yes, because imagine, you're not going to remember Ric Flair when I win number 17. Okay, buddy, go and make us remember you before you walk away, and then that's when it's perfect, right? Because if John Cena wins the belt at WrestleMania and barely shows up, you're going to hate him even more. He's going to be everything that he wasn't before as a babyface. He really will be Hollywood John Cena. But what I'm saying is they need to deliver that moment at WrestleMania. And so therefore, if that were to happen, it can't be Cody winning because John Cena turning heel only for him to turn babyface to win number 17 is dumb. You can have him turn babyface when he loses the belt and he passes the torch. He officially passes the torch. And you could do that at Survivor Series.
Who's going to pass the torch to?
Whoever. If he wins the belt at number 17 at WrestleMania, let's say he wins number 17. It's very simple. You have several months where he only shows up when he wants. They come to him and they say, hey, you have to defend your belt. And he's like, no, I got a movie to do. I'm not coming up, right? WWE can do this whole thing where John Cena shows up via satellite. And you do it on purpose. You have only limited appearances with John Cena to sell him as a heel. But then what you can do, and this is where it would be really cool, is that now Triple H says, hey, listen, you're WWE champion, and we will erase you from the history books if you walk away. If you don't show up and do your job, we will vacate the belt. We will erase you from WWE history. We're not afraid to do that. We've done that to many other people in our company's history if we don't align with their values, and we're going to eliminate you from history. So you're going to show up. Now John Cena is forced to show up, and if John Cena is forced to show up, he can drop the belt back down to Cody. You can do it to whoever. I think it should be Cody, because then when he does officially retire, even if it's as a heel, he can go and shake his hand, and then literally you can do the whole thing where he cuts a promo and says, you know what, Cody, I did this all on purpose to see if you truly had the balls to do what I couldn't do many years ago. And that would be a perfect way to let him go. But the thing is, it requires that massive groundbreaking moment at WrestleMania. And here's the thing. As I've stated before, okay, imagine if Seth Rollins, listen, I told you before, Seth Rollins becomes a Paul Heyman guy. Paul Heyman tells Punk, fuck your favor. And Seth Rollins joins Paul Heyman. Oh my God, night 2, Seth Rollins just sold his soul to The Rock. Now, guess what? John Cena doesn't need to be on TV every time because Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins are there. And that brings you back down to Seth Rollins and Cody feuding and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns feuding. Remember how I said Seth and Cena versus Roman and Cody? Like, There's a lot of possibilities, but it requires that massive moment at WrestleMania 41. But to get us to that massive moment, you got to have John Cena show up.
You need storytelling on TV.
And right now, there is none that is currently happening regarding John Cena. There is, but it's not a massive, big boom. You know what I mean? And that's what it really comes down to.
I don't know, man. We're gonna find out more today.
Shout out to Phil, by the way, for that super chat. But I'm serious, man. It's a problem. Like, the thing is, there was a very big blood feud between Hangman and Swerve in AEW, and that was a very, very significant and very fun storyline, to the point where even now, when we're looking at All In, we're looking at the Owen Cup, it's like, wow, cool, we're going back to that. And I appreciate that by AEW, because it's like the Death Rider thing isn't working out, but you have this very strong storyline, which was so good. Why can't WWE make John Cena and Cody feel like a blood feud? It was like when The Rock and Cody were feuding, like, holy shit, it was groundbreaking.
I think somebody said it. I can't remember where, but I think the thing, we've kind of been looking at like why John Cena isn't answering Cody. And I think somebody said along the lines of like John Cena's beef isn't with Cody. Cody is just a stepping stone for Cena. Cena's beef is with us. He doesn't like us. So the reason why he's not acknowledging Cody is because Cena never really wanted to do what he did. He had to because he needed to get his point across, and he needed the fans to understand, like, yo, what you guys did to me is messed up, and I need to let you guys know this.
I'm not gonna lie, I think that's dumb.
Call it dumb, call it whatever you want. I mean, that's your own personal opinion, but just because you feel that way doesn't mean that everybody's going to feel that way.
I know, but John Cena all these years finally turns on the fans after they supported him. And
then the beef is with the fans, yes.
Yeah, so hey, by the way, I'm turning on the fans. No, if you want to turn on the fans, you say, fuck you fans, I'm not showing up.
I mean, technically, that's what he's doing.
But do you see what I'm saying? That's got to be put into the story.
Yeah, I guess. Again, we're gonna see, right?
Okay, so hold on, Billy.
They tell you, like, okay, go ahead. I'll let you go.
Hold on, just really quick. So you're saying maybe tonight on the Raw episode in London, you think maybe John Cena could show up to Cody? Hey, Cody, my issue is not with you. In fact, I'm already guaranteed my match with you at WrestleMania. I'll see you at WrestleMania. I'm not showing up anymore because fuck the fans.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
But do you see like how problematic that would be? People would be like, "Wow, we have a feud where the guy turned on Cody just to shit on the fans." Bro, I don't know. Like, to me, that just sounds so weird. I'm sorry, but I really just feel like that sounds so weird. And to me, it's a very big problem because this is your marquee match. And listen, for those who are complaining that Punk and Roman and Rollins are main eventing, I would even be more upset if John Cena does not show up at all and we do not continue to build this main event marquee match, which is so massive. If this match does not get blown up and they do not take things to the next level, whether it's Drew McIntyre, Seth, or Kevin Owens, Randy joining The Rock, Cena, and Travis Scott, whatever it may be. If they're not doing that and we're just getting a standard match and Cody wins, I promise you right now, as somebody who supports WWE storytelling, I will sit here and shit on that post show. I will shit on it because I'm telling you guys right now, there's no reason whatsoever that The Rock and John Cena, which is the biggest, most mind-blowing, groundbreaking thing that WWE has ever freaking done next to Hulk Hogan's, and obviously Hulk Hogan's heel turn was WCW, but in general, like for WWE, this is a groundbreaking moment. And if you're telling me the follow-up to it is that ass, I'm gonna shit on it. There is no reason why I am so, I'm excited for WrestleMania, and I don't share the same sentiment as everybody else. I genuinely believe in my heart that WrestleMania has a very solid build. All the matches are making sense. All the storylines are making sense. A lot of guys that I'm excited about being on the card are going to be on the card. And I do believe that groundbreaking moment will happen when it comes to the favor. As I've said, I've predicted months ago, there's a lot of things I believe that will come to fruition. But when it comes to John Cena and Cody Rhodes, the marquee match that is in the making to be the biggest match you can actually do between the two biggest stars in WWE history, two guys who are responsible for WWE's growth. I'm sorry, man. This is a letdown, currently speaking, as it stands. And as I've said, I have to reiterate this because people are going to be like, oh, Ango, you were shitting on it. And then obviously something big is going to happen and they're going to see me celebrate. No, I'm shitting on it right now because of what it could potentially be. Because I am very clearly not seeing the vision other than the fact that, they might deliver a big moment at WrestleMania.
You yourself sees the potential in this story. You see how deep it can actually run.
And I don't see them building that just yet. And it's hard to see that when they're not promoting John Cena for further TV events. And so what I would actually love to see tonight, today on Raw, I would love to see something very significant happen where John Cena goes on to attack Cody, and then maybe John Cena calls The Rock on the phone, and that's how they end the episode. Like, call him on the phone. And then whatever it is, now we got to wonder about this phone call.
Story. Yeah.
Yes, because then maybe The Rock shows up, or hey, maybe the big moment doesn't happen at WrestleMania. But if John Cena doesn't show up, let's say you see Raw end the show and John Cena makes a phone call. You don't know who it is, right? Maybe it's The Rock, maybe it's Drew McIntyre, maybe it's the next person that sells their soul. Whatever. Maybe if they end the show that way, then it's like, okay, John Cena doesn't have to be there because now there's something
there's somebody there. There's a backbone to do John Cena's quote unquote dirty work. Let's be real here. John Cena's technically doing The Rock's dirty work, but he's technically still John Cena and just doing what he wants. He doesn't necessarily need The Rock.
Yeah.
Ango, real fast. I hate to switch it up. I did get a super chat over on my channel. If I'm able to
go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Yeah. All right, I got Ronnie Southern over here. He dropped a 10 bomb. He said, this year, WWE hasn't been shy about title changes happening prior to WrestleMania, which is a change from previous years. It would be interesting to see what actually happens at WrestleMania, which I think kind of goes along to everything that we've said here. Is WWE, I would 1,000% agree, Ronnie, has not been shy about the title changes. And truth be told, I think at WrestleMania, you're going to see that a little bit more. I think you're going to see a lot of these longer title reigns potentially come to an end. Although I am somebody who does want to see Cody Rhodes win at WrestleMania, I am not oblivious to what the truth behind it is, right? And I think there's a difference there. I, John Cena will probably win 17 at WrestleMania. I don't think WWE. I don't think that they would be ballsy enough to do such, like Ango said a moment ago, such a groundbreaking moment at something like the Elimination Chamber to potentially have Cody Rhodes win. It truth be told, like in my head, I think there's a deeper story that you can do later down the line that makes a lot of sense. But logically, in the moment, John Cena winning does make sense. It does.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, kind of like you said, Ronnie, how WWE positions these titles at WrestleMania. I think we see a guy like Jay potentially win. I don't think somebody like Charlotte will win. I think Tiffany would probably end up continuing her title reign. Maybe Io continuing hers. Just so many different questions coming out. Ango, your thoughts?
I don't know.
Not sure.
I'm honestly not sure.
That's fair.
I really don't know.
There's just so much coming out.
There is. And I think that this is such a weird like time because everything is good, but everything is more confusing. I think Triple H has swerved us so much. And I think Ronnie kind of hit the point on the head with like so many, like it's not very often where you get title changes before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Just in general, I feel like this whole build, this whole time period, it's like very, I don't know. You can't see the vision as clear as it was before. And it's,
well, I think that's what throws people off is that the vision was once there and now it's not.
So the thing is about Triple H is he's basically like, Triple H has done this whole thing where it's like, he's mapped out everything so clear that it became predictable. And and here's the thing, I've kind of criticized that. Not criticized, but I would say, hey, like a little critique that I've had, just like a little tiny critique, is sometimes that like sometimes predictable isn't good and sometimes predictable isn't bad. Triple H has done a really good job of making predictable being good. However, this could be the time where it's being unpredictable could actually be bad because now I literally have no idea what way like it could actually go down. So it's very hard, bro. I don't know. I don't genuinely know how to explain it other than like for once in my life watching WWE under Triple H's era, I don't know what to expect. I think I've done some really good points with the Seth Rollins heel turn and, you know, things of that nature. And there's certain things, but based on what WWE is doing and based on what I'm fantasy booking, I feel like a lot of my fantasy booking comes from the fact that I should just be a hired WWE writer and not the fact of what they're putting on TV.
That's fair. That's fair, man.
But I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, honestly, like I said, it's a very, very strange period of time.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Things feel funky, but good. Things make you nervous. I don't know.
Yeah. Shout out to Ronnie for dropping a super chat on Billy's channel.
Yeah, man. Ronnie, thank you so much, man. My channel's moving over here today.
Is it now?
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, man. We got some viewers over here. The chat's moving.
That's what I like to hear. And then of course you'll be live for the watch along, which will be really cool.
Yep.
So I'll try to sneak in. Maybe I'll even join you on the watch along. Maybe I'll do a watch along today with you. I don't know.
Come on, man.
Could be fun.
Pull up.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I got some stuff to do later, but maybe it's at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. Yeah. There's a chance that maybe I'll do it because why not? But yeah, freaking A. Shout out to Ronnie for that super chat. If anybody's got more super chats, get them in. Billy, I want to switch gears a little bit from the WrestleMania talk to WWE and AEW because I did talk a little bit about this the other day, and today there was a little bit more news about AEW making some changes. Basically, for those who don't know, give me 1 second. Holy shit.
What happened?
Hold on.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess I'll go for a minute while Ango's doing
Yeah, go
his
ahead,
thing.
do your thing.
Yeah, no. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's having a good day. I hope your guys' Monday is great so far. Ango's over there doing something. I don't know what he's got going on, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. Here we go. Hold on. I wasn't watching. I wasn't seeing your chat, so now I get to see your chat.
Yeah, we are
Oh man.
simulcasting.
Yeah, I've been hanging out over on my chat because, like I said, they're moving today. It's different, man. It's different. But yeah, AEW has been making some changes.
Yeah, they have been. What I will talk about will probably come later because I don't know. I just got a very interesting message, and that was very, very interesting. But I'm gonna have to double check with people before I even talk about that. So yeah, yeah, they are making changes though, and basically a lot of it comes from their competition with WWE, like WWE and UFC and all this stuff that's happening on Saturdays. You know, for those who don't know, their AEW Collision isn't going to compete against WrestleMania. But instead they're going to be moving to Thursday night to go live. And that was something I talked about in my channel the other day, but I want to have a little bit more in-depth conversation about this, Billy, because we have seen a little bit time and time again with WWE competing against Collision ends up being completely destroyed. And it's interesting because Collision's viewership, you know, because of the March Madness, their viewership was going up because of the lead-ins. But now the lead-ins don't exist anymore, so their ratings go back down. By the way, a lot of people are shocked to hear this. I feel like Collision is the best AEW product that they have.
Yeah, I did see you tweet that out.
Yeah, I think Collision is. I mean, it's getting to the point where I think Collision is actually becoming more must-see than Dynamite.
Collision has been really
good. It's a very, very good show.
It's really well paced too.
Yeah. However, Collision is going to go live on Thursday instead of going up against WrestleMania Night 1. They
should have done that in the first place.
Yeah, I think they need to make that a permanent change.
Yeah,
I think if you work at Warner Bros. Discovery or if you work at AEW and you consistently think like Saturday is all about appointment viewing, bro. Saturday and Sunday. Like, I'm sorry to say this, but like I'm not going to choose. Especially perfect example. Let me pull it up so that way I can actually tell you the card. UFC 314.
Yeah.
Very stacked card. So I just want to read this card to you. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull making his debut. Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Michael Chandler versus Patty Pimblett. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. And that's just the main card. The prelims are pretty insane. Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper as well. And those are the prelims. And then you got the early prelims, which is pretty insane because a lot of these people that are fighting on the card, like, they're very, very solid fighters. So this is one of those things where, like, UFC 314, perfect example. UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez, a guy who's been a star versus a guy who is considered the up-and-coming star. And it's for the vacant featherweight championship belt, right? So now we're watching, like, UFC is going to have a stacked card. People are going to be watching it. You got Michael Chandler and Patty Pimblett, two crowd favorites. And you cannot have Collision compete with UFC. You just can't.
Because they're never going to win.
You're just not going to win. And so the thing is, like, this is appointment viewing. When I call it appointment viewing, this is me basically telling you guys right off the rip that I can certainly tell you 100% of the time, like, without a doubt, I'm going to choose UFC because that doesn't happen every weekend. Especially the last few fight nights that UFC does on Saturday nights have kind of been garbage. They haven't really been exciting or, like, star-filled. I'm going to choose UFC 314 over Collision. I make a night out of it. I go with my friends. We all go watch it, whether it's at a house, at a bar, or something like that. I'm not going to watch Collision. And a lot of wrestling fans tend to tell me, oh, well, it's okay because you could just watch it on Max on DVR. However, my argument to that is, by using social media, I no longer want to watch it now because I've already been spoiled on all the matches.
Yeah, you see everything.
AEW, not wanting to compete with UFC, not wanting to compete with WWE, move permanent times, bro. Permanent
Like I said, move
time
to Thursday.
slot. It's got to be.
Yeah, move them to Thursday.
And
don't
then
be afraid.
You don't have to compete with Saturday night's main event.
Nope, you don't have to compete with anything on a Saturday. Saturdays are a horrible night, like you said. It's appointment viewing. It's very simple. It's not like illogical math, right? No, you just do it on Thursdays because you're competing with Impact.
Yeah, but even that though, Impact is pre-taped. So
exactly.
For example, if I was TNA, literally what I would do is go 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Only do an hour or 9 to 11 or 10 to 12. You don't have to, or TNA, honestly, if you really want, you can go earlier on Tuesdays before NXT or go after NXT, NXT is 8 to 10, go 10 to 12 on Tuesdays after NXT because you have the partnership with them anyways. And you could use NXT to promote TNA. But I feel like Collision needs to be moved off of Saturdays, not even because of the fact that this is just the reality. If you're giving me a show that's good, and this has happened, by the way, a lot of people don't know this at all, but a lot of people don't know that when it comes to SmackDown for the last year, and I've said this so many times, I was like, I am not watching SmackDown live. I'm not. I'm going to go enjoy my Friday night. And people are like, oh, Ango thinks he's too cool. Ango thinks he's too cool. He wants to let the whole world know that he's cool and he's got plans on weekends. Well, no, it's just
too cool.
It's not that. It's not that I want you guys to know that I am cool because you already know that I'm cool. But what I'm really saying though is you're asking me to watch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, you're asking me to take every single day out of my week.
Every single day out of my week. And on top of that, Friday nights is for me, I still work on the weekends. I still make videos on the weekends. So now you're telling me to work 7 days a week. Okay, that's fine. But now you're telling me to watch a 3-hour episode of SmackDown. That is very difficult to do.
It's tough.
It's tough on a Friday night because I do want to have a work-life balance. My life isn't 100% wrestling. Wrestling takes up 90% of my life. I don't want it to take up 100% of my life. So the thing is, I've always said, imagine this. Imagine if Raw was Monday, Tuesday was SmackDown, Wednesday was NXT competing head-to-head with AEW Dynamite, Thursday was TNA and Collision. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, why not? That's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
And the thing for Collision, by the way, is I guarantee the numbers will have an increase on Thursday nights way over Saturday. So for those who really care about ratings and you care so much about that, you want to take your victory laps, 100%, I think Collision beat on Thursdays would be a significant increase. And
in ratings, and you'd see them pop.
And it's hard because Warner Bros. Discovery, I understand they got the NBA rights and stuff. But dude, people who are watching NBA are not watching AEW. And the people who are watching AEW aren't watching NBA. And if you really care that much, put it on HBO Max where you could watch 2 shows at the same time, split screen, if it matters that much. But it's such a weird thing because I think Saturday Night Collision, I'm so glad to see that they're going to go live that Thursday. But dude, why not just go and do that permanently? You're going to get your ass kicked. If you're not competing with WWE Saturday night, the UFC, professional boxing, whatever other sports are on Saturday nights, when the NBA playoffs come, you're screwed. Yeah, you are screwed.
Especially Pistons are hot right now.
Oh my God, I was so...
You're going to the playoffs. You're screwed.
Yeah. And by the way, I know people will hate to hear this, but it's just how I am, especially with the Pistons finally tripling their win record year over year. But, dude, I'm going to choose, literally, when Pistons play, this happens. A lot of people don't know this. This is how my life works because I have to watch the Pistons. If it's Tuesday night and I'm watching NXT and there's a Pistons game on at Tuesday night, on the big screen, I literally have NXT in my room, 60-inch TV, that's NXT. I have my 12-inch iPad Pro, and you know what I do right there? I put that to the side with the Pistons game, and I watch the Pistons game from the FanDuel app.
This year because they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, when the playoffs start, maybe I won't go and watch. Maybe I'll go to the point where I go and maybe I decide to go into a bar or a cigar lounge and watch the game with friends. You know what I mean? Especially if they have a deep run. They very well could. That's a possibility. So that's something to keep in mind, man. Collision really should change the nights, and they should make it a permanent change. I saw Phil put in the chat too. He's like, the Thursday could be a test to see if it really works. It will be up. It will be up.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. And also too, by the way, I just want to make that clear. If the numbers like blow up for Collision, like isn't that gonna be like even better for you when you're trying to get new TV rights? Or if you really like, if because Shockwave got canceled and those plans aren't happening, like, can you imagine what it would be like if you were trying to get Shockwave on a show? Hey, by the way, the Saturday time slot is done. Oh, Saturday Shockwave, 6:05 p.m. Saturday nights. Like, imagine that. At 6:05, now you don't have to compete with WrestleMania, Saturday Night Main Event, UFC, things like that.
Interesting.
It is. We got a super chat from Sarit Mohanty. He dropped 899 rupees, which I believe, mental math tells me, I think that's like $11 or $12 in USD. So I don't know. I haven't Googled it yet, but I'm going to Google it because I'm curious. We see a lot of international currency on these super chats, by the way.
For sure, dude. For sure.
Sarit says, Jacob Fatu's new faction post-Mania consisting of Bronson Reed, Jeff Cobb, and possibly Zilla Fatu. How's that faction? Billy, have you heard of this, by the way, where there's rumors? What? So there's rumors that Jacob Fatu, I don't know if this is fan rumors or if this is like legitimate rumors, but I keep seeing this being posted on social media. So somebody's spreading this narrative. Jeff Cobb, Bronson Reed, and Jacob Fatu in a faction.
No, I have not seen that, if I'm being honest.
What would your reaction be to that?
I mean, why not, right? Man, but I think Bronson Reed, Jeff Cobb, oh man. It'd be nice, number one, because isn't Jeff Cobb, did he sign with WWE?
He's internally listed on their roster, but there's been no other reports or confirmations.
Okay. Yeah, dude, that'd be beastly. Dude, that'd be awesome. Let's be real here. Who's saying no to that? Are you saying no to that?
That's scary, bro.
That's scary.
That is a scary ass faction.
Bringing Zilla Fatu into it? Come on. Are you saying no?
I could do without Zilla Fatu because I would like to see Zilla Fatu go to NXT. Personally,
fair.
I think he's good, but he needs to get a little bit like more experience, and NXT still would benefit from him being there. But dude, I don't know. It would be kind of fun. I don't know. Jeff Cobb coming to WWE intrigues me a lot. So it would be fun. I don't know. Jacob Fatu is teasing the split, bro.
He is. Why not? But also in the same realm, it's like you could have Jacob just be by himself because he doesn't really need anybody.
He doesn't, but I don't know, man. I love factions so much.
So do I.
I don't know.
Apparently, I'm tripping, Ango. Raw starts at 3.
Oh, okay. Nice. Even better.
Yeah, I'm tripping.
I
thought I started at 4.
I think going back to the faction thing that I just kind of want to point up. I think Jacob Fatu having a faction. Bro, why can't we just have a massive faction? Tongaloa, Tamatonga, Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, Tala Tonga, a.k.a. Hikaleo, Jeff Cobb, Bronson Reed.
Jeez, this man's trying to stack the faction.
Like 8 people, bro. Like put like 7, 8 people in a faction. Why can't we just do that? And they just, I don't know, man. I hate to bring up the Bullet Club because the Bullet Club is no longer cool. But like one thing that was cool about Bullet Club that I always thought was sick was the fact that there was just so many guys repping this gang, bro. To me, it's like, why didn't they do that in WWE? Like, dude, you got AJ Styles and Finn Balor. You had Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Like, I'm not saying to call them Bullet Club, but you had all these guys that like you could have just thrown. Like the Judgment Day could have been like a 12-man faction, and like
could have easily.
I don't know. Like, I feel like that would have been cool. It's just like not necessarily a true leader, you know, but everybody just reps the gang. Like,
Fair.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I'm with you, dude.
Oh my God. With you. I don't know. Just something to think about. Shout out to Sarit Mohanty for the super chat. I don't know. Did I pull it up? I did pull it up on the stream. So glad I got that all worked out. If anybody has any other last minute super chats they want to get in, go ahead and do so. Billy, do you have any more on your channel that you want to read or anything on your chat?
No, I'm good. Like I said, I'll be live at 3, I guess, now for the Raw watch along.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so maybe we could stream that together. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get some stuff done, but that is a possibility. I just don't know how I feel about doing a thing. Guys, I'm getting people are mad at me because I made a AI concept image with TNA International Championship, and people are mad at me on Twitter because I used AI, but I really don't care because
who cares?
I'm not going to go pay a graphic designer to make a championship design belt for a professional wrestling company who pays people to do that. Everybody's got to be fake mad about something. And if you guys couldn't tell, I'm really mad about the John Cena build. That's not being fake mad.
Yeah, this guy's angry.
It's just, Billy, you know how it is, man. Like, there's to me, it's just, don't give us the big moment, give us the big story.
Yeah, very true.
So
I get it.
Yeah. So yeah, we hit the super chat goal.
For sure.
And everything's looking good. And I think honestly, bro, we went relatively longer than normal, which is cool.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Billy's gonna be live, so make sure you guys follow Billy. Billy will be live on YouTube at 3:00. Maybe I'll join him. Maybe I'll go stream too, watch along. It's very rare that I do watch alongs, but we'll see. That'll be really fun. Maybe I'll join Billy on his channel or something like that.
Yeah, if you want to come pop in, come hang out.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know about timing, but that's a good idea. Listen, I'm excited.
Pop in later in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil said, has there really ever been a third man discussed within WWE, or is that just something from fans in the IWC trying to make it make sense? I have no idea.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from, to be honest. So
yeah.
Cool. Today's the last day of the month.
Yeah.
So tomorrow begins April. April showers bring May flowers.
Bring May flowers, baby.
Cool. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that. Shout out to Billy TKO. Check him out 3 p.m. at youtube.com/@BillyTKO. And TikTok as well, right?
Yeah, so they still have me banned through Streamlabs, but I am live on TikTok. Like, I've been live on TikTok this whole time over on my end. So if you guys want to come pull up to the stream, I will be live on TikTok, and I will be live on YouTube at 3:00 for the watch along. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be posting clips. I'll be hanging out with you guys, talking in the chat. We're going to have a good time, man.
So Billy TKO, you said you're live on TikTok right now?
Currently, right now. Yes.
I don't see you live. Why?
Yeah, I've been live this whole time.
At Billy TKO?
Yeah. Let's see if it pulls up on my end. It might have stopped.
Donald
I don't
Trump
know.
Or Elon Musk decided that an agency and its operations was
Yeah. Okay, so Billy's not live on TikTok. So he might not be live on TikTok later. We don't know. TikTok has not been very nice to Billy these days. But with that being said, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys check out Billy TKO. Make sure you guys check him out doing his live watch along. And shout out to everybody who joined us today, and shout out to everybody who dropped a super chat, and everybody who liked the stream. And I think that's pretty much it. So with that being said, we will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining us. Maybe I'll be joining Billy later. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, peace.